This is Michaela McLean, and you're listening to Beauty by Design. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for being here. It's time to talk about one of my very, very favorite gates, Gate 61. Before we get into it, let's see. I've been talking a little bit about this. This is why I don't talk about things before I do them. I've been talking about doing a class, kind of purpose, whatnot, and change of plans. It is a very important thing that I want to do this self study, this guided self study, right? But there's been a number of things kind of happening, and I don't like to rush stuff. I like things to be very, very good. And yeah, I'm like, just pause, pretend you never heard me say anything about that, and something around that will come in the future. But I don't know. I've really been kind of like marinating in what 2024 is going to be for me. I have one really overarching huge project. It really kind of is two different things, but it's for my life, it's always the chicken or the egg, right? I say that frequently. So that's what I really want to devote my time to this year, and everything else is kind of superfluous. And they all do connect and overlap and coincide and whatever. But I just am like, I just paused, and my daughter had to come home sick from school. And I was like, you know what? I could force this to happen. I don't think it would be what I want it to be. And so this year, I don't know, numerology, I'm in a 9 year. I'm not about rushing. I'm just not about forcing or pushing or trying at this point. My See, I was going to get into this in this class. My 2024 goal or, mantra is like graceful and elegant detachment and just letting things be and just being easy. And I want to stick to that. So that said, I think I'll probably post some cool things. Again, there's always stuff going on in the background, something really amazing, but it's a very long-term project, right? So I'm just careful about that. I'm like, I need to devote my energy. I'm a little sacral generator. I don't do well with distractions. I don't do well with a lot of things on my plate. I just need to focus in the areas that are correct right now. So that's what we're going to do. Anyway, there's that monologue. That said, of course, free charts on my website, michaelamclean.com. You can get the free guide to human design basics and 1 hour or type master classes. Those are $11. That is always the place to start. And even the things that are going to come later, that's it. Start there. Start there. You're going to learn so much. And I am going to have some things. I don't know. I keep saying that. I'm going to have some things, some guides, some things that are going to help people self-study, because I am really big on that. I said that last time. I'm a 4-1. I love to self-study. I love to get all the details. I'm providing a library, a resource library for people here with the podcast and other things that I'm doing. And the 4 wants to share it, but we'll just see. We'll see how things evolve and come out on their own. And then there's the yoga nidras, the, correct one for your type and authority. It's going to bypass the conscious mind. Kind of has to do with, again, the gate we're talking about today, and just really like living into that mysterious place that is our subconscious mind. So cool. Yeah. And you get the beauty benefits of yoga nidra, which is amazing. There's so many beauty and health benefits. And then to layer human design and healing in there on top of it, incredible. So I encourage you to do so. And yeah. All right, let's get on to the episode itself. Of course, all the relevant links are in the show notes or my Instagram bio at Michaela McLean. And we're always up to date over there. So if you're not following me on Instagram already, I do post things for each one of these gates to bring the energy into the real world, to ground it, to make it more material. So tips, tricks, things that are going to help your beauty and well-being according to where the sun is at any given time. All right, let's get on to the episode. Of course, my disclaimer, don't try to understand this at the mental level. Again, super relevant for this gate. Just let the sound current, the energy, the frequency of beauty sink deep into your cells like good skincare. All right, so we are in Capricorn season. We're moving through into gate 61, which is located in the head center, sometimes referred to as the crown. And it's part of the individual knowing circuitry. People with individual circuitry have a deep inner knowing that they are here to be true to themselves, which leads to mutation, evolution, and positive change in the world. So, individual's keynote is empowerment. It's about the here and now. It is that mutation in the present moment. And when somebody who is individual empowers others, they in turn feel empowered. Starting with the center itself, the head is a pressure center in the body graph. It pressures us to know, to think, to make sense of things. It piques our imagination and wants an answer to why, the mysteries of the universe. Pressure comes in through the head in the form of inspiration, questions, and then the energy moves down to the ajna, aka the mind, the third eye, to be made sense of or to get an answer. And to kind of pick up where we left off with our last gate, 54, which is about money and the material plane. That's like going from the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs all the way up now to the top, to the to quite literally the pinnacle. This is tippy top. 61 is known as inner truth. It's the gate of mystery, and this is the awareness of universal underlying principles. This is the mutative pressure to know something new, to understand the mysteries, to know the unknowable. So I personally see this gate as where practical, serious, straight face, straight laced, down to earth Capricorn goes all mystical. This is like a direct pipeline to God, the universe, the divine. It's pure inspiration, and it's an extremely etheric energy. It wants to know the unknowable, that question of why exists here in this gate. I already said this is like one of my all-time favorite gates. I have it personally, so you're gonna get dished on in this, but it's my vocation placement in the gene keys. So fulfillment and purpose, it's one related to a person's career and their calling. I affectionately call gate 61 my Debbie. She's Debbie Downloads, and she has direct line. She's got a phone line to God, the universe, the divine. It's like we're Voxering all the time. Oh, I got a message. So yeah, this one's just super fun for me. And its low expression 61 is caving to this constant mental pressure to know the unknowable, letting it overwhelm you or even drive you into madness. In the gene keys, the shadow of this one is psychosis. Becoming a slave to anxiety or other mental health issues, overthinking, letting the mind get away from you, just straight up tripping out. This pressure to know becomes so intense you can't handle reality. Getting melancholic when the inspiration isn't there because this is individual, which pulses on and off. The muse is there and then she's gone. Or trying to make logical sense of things when this gate is so not about logic. It's about inner knowing, and that is very individual. And then, of course, just trying to make decisions with your mind. And in human design, your mind is never, ever, ever the authority for yourself. This is really a let go and let God kind of vibe. So the high expression is 61 is the mystic. It is the prime connection to source. It's definitely hooked into something much, much bigger. And in this case, life invites you to think, to lean into the mysteries, and invites you to dance with it, letting this magical inspiration and creativity strike you like lightning, channeling it down, integrating it into life. Allow yourself to be fascinated by the unknown, sit with it, contemplate it, enjoy it, but don't try to force understanding because you're not in control of it. When the time is right, information drops in to 61 and you just know things. Like the intuitive gift of claircognizance lives here in this gate. So it is just like this deep inner knowing. It's inner personal truth and also this peaceful acceptance that some things are just unknowable. And then once you do know, once that inspiration is there, the timing is so important. 61 is the mutative mind. So when these individual knowings are finally released into the world, they have the power to deeply inspire, empower, and change others. So with 61, it's very important to give yourself ample quiet time to allow for this. 61 craves the quiet. I personally believe everyone needs some form of meditation, but if this gate is defined in your chart for you, it is a non-negotiable. Okay, so in the gene keys, like I said, the shadow is psychosis. It can swing either disenchanted or fanatical. The gift is inspiration, and the city is sanctity. It's holy, it's sacred. Okay, so I don't typically talk too much about the Citic state here on the podcast for very good reason. We are all mainly living in the shadows, and that's okay, right? This is about awakening to that. In the Gene Keys, the shadow, or how you always hear me say, the low expression of this is really just the state that relates to all of our human suffering. But the awareness of these states is also the secret key to moving out of them. The first step is admitting you have a problem, right? Richard Rudd says that in the shadow, your very suffering becomes your salvation. And then at the gift frequency, we are moving up and out of the shadow. We're no longer stuck in the victim state of whatever gate's shadow is. But of the city, he says that it is the frequency band relating to the full embodiment and spiritual realization. The very concept of frequencies and levels paradoxically dissolves when the truth is realized as a city. And the word city is Sanskrit for divine gift, which he basically explains that it's only experienced when the shadows, particularly at the collective level for all of us, have been transmuted and transformed into light. So, like, guys, we got a long way to go. We're probably not living here 24/7. It's just facts, right? We're humans. And the city, the Citic state is like ascended master level. So I say that because this time I actually do want to talk about the city because the city of 61 is the thing that I get really emotional about. I know when I talk of gate 25, I get very emotional and not in a bad way, like overcome, because it's so profound. So here we go, right? So the shadow was 61. It's like basically he's saying we're two in our heads, we're wrapped up in our own psychosis, our own illusions. But when we finally stop identifying with the mind and raise our frequency, that's when things change. And in the 61st key, he quotes William Blake. He says, if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear as it is, infinite. And so, what Richard Rudd says of the 61st gift, he says, what separates inspiration from other heightened experiences is that after inspiration, you are permanently altered. Even a brief flash of true inspiration will change the way your awareness operates. Through inspiration, you are being prepared for an even greater experience than you can yet conceive. So he talks about creativity being the most important thing that it can assist us in getting out of our own psychosis, our collective psychosis. It inspires us, gets us out of victim mode, but we have to be patient. We have to wait for it to strike, right? Again, individual knowing. It's there and then it's gone. He says that the 61st gene key represents the ultimate mystery. This is Christ consciousness. It's the mystery that's hiding literally everywhere. Okay, so the 61st city is sanctity. It's entering the unknowable. And basically, when you enter into this field of the great mystery, what you experience is this enveloping silence. The mind's activity stops, and you are in this place of inner truth, deep inner truth. And while this state is referred to by many spiritual traditions, both from the East and the West, enlightenment being one of them, it's not actually a place or a state. It's actually about being one with the divine. So Richard Rudd says that this awareness is carried beyond the body into every corner of the universe. You immediately find yourself both completely empty and yet endlessly full. This is so accurate. In my own experience, it is that omnipresence. It's the void, it's nothing, and yet all at once, it's everything. Like, my experience, the first time I ever experienced this, I was like, "Whoa, I didn't exist anymore, but I did, but it wasn't me, but it was also everyone, and it was love." Ugh, 61 is really about being cool with that mystery, like, living without answers. And after I had that first, like, deeply spiritual experience, everything for me just relaxed in a way that I really kinda can't put words to, I can't explain. It was just this level of, like, inner knowing, inner peace, things that I'd suffered from, anxiety, depression, the fear of just the unknown, right? It all just kind of, like, evaporated, and it was more like, "Whoa, if this is what comes next, I can't wait." Like, I wanna live there, you know? But he would go on to talk about, like, that it can't be forced, again, individual knowing. You can't make this happen. This isn't cyclical or anything like that. It's just like, "Oh, I'm having this divine download, and it's totally rearranging me, but there's no way that you can plan for that. I'm not scheduling that on my calendar for next Tuesday. Like, you have no idea when this is gonna happen." So he says, "You must simply come to realize that you know absolutely nothing, and this profound revelation can only occur in its own way and at its own time." And it's funny. So when I read that, I was like, if you've ever listened to the podcast all the way to the end and you hear that little piece of outro music, and when I found it, I was like, this is so perfect. It's like, if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that I know nothing, right? Everything I do always has, like, deep meaning, and I'm like, here I'm sharing all of this knowledge, and then at the same time, I'm like, I'm totally okay with, like, also realizing how little I know in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, I just had to laugh about that, but, like, with my experiences with this, it's like that first one that I said always gets me emotional. Even when I was writing the notes for this, I was like I started crying. I didn't go to bed though one night thinking I'm gonna have the most profound experience of my life, but I did. And like you said, that's the thing with it. It's like you are forever changed. It's permanent. Since I had that, I've definitely had more experiences like it, but again, it's like every time it's totally unplanned, like never know when it's going to happen. And definitely has happened at some very unlikely times and yeah. But I will say, like, if I could figure out how to bottle it, how to, like, what's the formula for this? I totally would, because it's just so unbelievable. I wish I could live there 24/7, and I wanna share it with other people. Um, I've definitely tried to communicate these experiences to other people, friends, family, who have not had them, and it's impossible. Like, there's no possible way, to do it. That's the plight of the individual knowing. I am a pure individual, right? And it's like there's the melancholy that comes with it, because your whole task is trying to explain your inner knowing. Like, I will tell people, and they just look at your, like, "You're crazy, psychosis," or, like, they just don't get it, like, "Uh-huh," and you're like, "No, no, like, I've" like, I really honestly, it's like, I'm bummed for you. I'm super bummed because I wish it for you. Like, I wish you could also have this deep inner knowing, because it would completely change your life forever in the most beautiful way possible. Um, yeah, I don't know. 61 is so rad. So rad. Anyway, my notes here. This is part of a projected channel, so projector rules apply, seen, recognized, and invited. Basically, it's just mystical and chill. Just hang out in the inspiration, the individual insight, the inner knowing. It's not motorized, coming from the head. There's no energy behind it. There's nothing to do about it. Nothing you can, do on your own. So don't stress about making every idea or every download come to life. This is why my journal is just full of these mega creative downloads. Again, I said this a million times, it's like individual, the inspiration is here and then it's gone. To me, it's like my shower thoughts. It's like I will get hit with just some like, again, profound is the word that I use, like profound knowing. And then it's like misty, oh, wait, what? It's like I know something so it's like so solid in the moment and then it's just poof, like gone. So I always have to write these things down because otherwise I will lose them. So, what's kinda cool is, like, I was actually looking back at my 2020 journal, oof, the other day for a specific reason astrologically, and it was, like, January of 2020, so, like, 4 years ago, and, there are things that it's like they build on each other, like the knowings, that's also pretty cool, so, yeah. I just encourage you write it down. Again, something really important with this, that reminder is that the mind is never your authority, but it is an outer authority for others, meaning there's things that and advice that you can give to other people when asked for it, especially in this case because it's projected, right? That it's here to help other people, it's here to help guide them. And then also, you are not your thoughts, you're the observer observing them. Very important with this gate that you cultivate and create space, create quiet to allow the inspiration and insight to come in. Individual is, of course, always prone to melancholy. It's the acoustics, it's the inner ear. This is meant for mutation and it's always going to be different. The challenge of explaining what you know, especially the unknowable mysteries, exists here in Gate 61. And since this is just up in the head, there's no connection to the throat, right? Things very deeply, but, like, you don't know how to communicate them. And this is definitely going to be mysterious spiritual stuff, spiritual experiences. Again, this is me getting super emotional over gate 25. Like, how do I communicate something that I know for sure is like it? But but I have, like, no words for it. Like, I know when I try to explain it, it doesn't seem like much. It doesn't seem like much, and yet I'm like, this 1000% is the most mind-blowing thing that I've ever had happen. Oof, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Okay, moving on. This is associated with the pineal gland, which is the gland that produces melatonin or sleep hormone. The pineal is aware of the light and dark, the sleep wake cycle. And I think with this one, it's both literal and metaphoric, right? You are forever changed. The light came on. You've seen the light. You can't unsee it. So am I asleep? Am I awake? Am I in the dark? Or the lights are on, they are on and they cannot be turned off. Spiritually, it's thought of as the third eye, the pineal, the seat of the soul. It moves neurotransmitters from the storage area of the brain, the gray matter, to the frontal lobes of the brain. And that makes sense, right? It's like coming down from the head, the crown, and that center up top and bringing the inspiration down to the ajna to be made sense of. Okay, so with this one, the programming partner, meaning if the sun is in Capricorn in gate 61, the earth is automatically opposite in Cancer, gate 62. And 62 is known as the preponderance of the small, it's the gate of details. And the keynote with this one is I think or not communicating detail and facts. So this gate is all about the facts and the details. It's someone who can organize information and turn it into something comprehensible. It's the voice of logic. Its gift is spotting patterns and then communicating the information. 62 is supposed to be responsible for the creation of language. It's the ability to see what's going on along with its channel partner 17 and then verbally translate and communicate the information. So in its low expression, it's like it's obsessive about the details, like to a fault, can't see the forest for the trees, opinions as facts. It's logic, cold, hard, harsh. It's not personal. It's very to the point. It doesn't like its facts being challenged. It can be quite dismissive, dismissing what doesn't fit its agenda, kind of a know it all. But its high expression is clear communication that connects the big picture, like, yeah, the big collective picture, using the mind, logic, organization as a servant to the heart, using the mind to verbally communicate patterns. It's an eye for detail. They say it's manager vibes. and it's important with this one to choose your words carefully. Yeah, definitely one that needs an invitation again, projected energy. But I have to laugh because I'm like, could these two be more different? The 61 and the 62. Just that fascinates me. So if you have, just going off tangent, if you have like the 61 or 62 as either one of your Sun Earth combinations or your North or your South node, you will automatically get the pairing of them. And so I'm like, how fascinating. I'd be curious to know if you're one of those people and what your experience like that is. It's like on one hand, you know what you know, and you know it, and it's going to be mystical and probably kind of out there and woo and spiritual and whatever. And then there's like the side of you that's just, but I need the logic, I need the facts, you know, like, like they're kind of at odds. Anyway, moving on. The gate that completes the channel with the 61 is Taurus, gate 24, forming the channel of awareness. It's the design of a thinker. 24 is known as the return. It's the gate of rationalization. And this one, like all the gates that are coming from the awareness centers, it carries a fear. And this one is the fear of ignorance. Fears and anxieties in those awareness centers. With 24, I like to think of it as the rock tumbler turns thoughts and ideas over and over in the mind until they finally make sense and can be shared with others. Um, this one is like, yeah, just it's worried that it's not going to know the answer. It's worried that inspiration is not going to come or that it won't be able to explain its inner knowing. So the low expression of 24, mental anxiety, like I said, it houses the fear of ignorance. It fears never having the answer, lacking inspiration, the inability to articulate its inner knowing to others. It can show up in unhealthy and addictive thought cycles that you can't seem to break. I would say it's like a dog with a bone. Like it gets something in there and it's just going to like chew on it. The high expression, though, is like relax and enjoy marinating on interesting thoughts and the ideas that pop into your head. Let the rock tumbler do its job, turning the thought over and over, polishing like a crystal, in your mind without any pressure to formulate it into an idea that you can hold on to. That will come over time as you allow the thoughts to roll around and around and around. And eventually, without warning, a solid concept will emerge. And you will have this like, aha, okay, it's the crystal is done polishing. Like it's a thing now. I get it. And the gene keys, this one, Richard Rudd states, addiction thinks in circles while invention thinks in spirals. And he says of the gift of invention, it's the art of thinking and acting in totally original ways. Again, individual circuitry. So 24, it's important. You've got to create the quiet, the space, the silence. Whenever I do this one, I'm like, Depeche Mode, enjoy the silence. you know, like a little king walking and finding your quiet space out in nature all by yourself. Lay down, sleep, meditate, get some silence, yoga nidra, defocusing, walking meditations, moving the body, whatever you need to do to clear the mind. Because again, this is individual. It needs to be able to hear itself. It's the inner ear, the inner acoustics. It needs to be able to hear things repeatedly too, that inspiration over and over. Again, it's individual, so it's prone to melancholy. The challenge of explaining what it knows. Again, the unknowable mysteries. So here we have this cosmic connection, right? Pressurized inspiration, the pressure to know coming down through 61 in the head and into the mind's awareness to be processed into some sort of real knowing in the 24, bringing it a little bit more down to earth. This is about channeling the new. You're not in control of it. It just hits you suddenly, but then you have to process it. So, like I said, as we were talking about the neurotransmitters, bringing that everything down from the gray matter to the frontal lobe. It's like the 61 is coming down to the 24. When the two come together to form the channel of awareness, it's about random yet instant knowing or satori, that sudden enlightenment. It's an inherent intuitive knowing that just hits you like a lightning bolt, right? You go from not knowing to sudden knowing, which occurs in the in between, in the quiet gaps. And oftentimes you go back to not knowing again or knowing that you know, but you can't access it again. Oh, God, I feel that. It is one of the most frustrating feelings. You're not in control of it. It's not based on working out logical patterns. It's not based on reflecting on the past. Like, again, I said, it's the shower thoughts that just blow your mind. This channel is always an amazing argument for meditation, purposely creating for yourself a gap in thinking, like getting to that quiet place so that things can come in. I have my journal, like, when I do my morning meditation every day, because there's stuff that I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't have that information before." And I literally get it during my meditation. Just like, boom. Oh, whoa. Okay, that's the next piece of the puzzle. Cool. Thank you. If you have the 61 without the 24, like I do, you're just meant to kick back, relax, marinate in the mysteries versus try to solve them. You're supposed to just enjoy the fun of it. The right timing will come along, and what I say, the next puzzle piece will fall into place and make things make sense. It's sweet. My daughter has the 24. She has the rock tumbler. She talks about that too frequently. She knows that's she calls it that because she'll get anxious about stuff and like overthink things. And then she's like, "Oh, that's just my rock tumbler. Okay, got to put a good thought in there." But anyway, together we make the full channel and we are in each other's auras every day. So we are always like, we're a good match. It's good to be around each other for that. 61 loves and craves silence, craves that white space to let the knowing appear. So meditation, binaural beats, megahertz frequencies are all really good for this gate. 61 can be prone to migraines, sounds in the head. Yeah. One of my favorite things for 61 is to use a drop of frankincense on my scalp, on my crown every single night. I always view it as activating my gate 61, like really opening that center up, especially when you're going into sleep, into that deep place of like, where do we go? I don't know. It's a mystery. And I'm okay with that. Um, there's some interesting studies about frankincense and the brain. Yeah, but I'm like, working on the big project. I'm saving a lot of more of these deeper things for that. Again, this is all individual and meant to be mutative. It's to inspire and empower others with the unique concepts that you receive in what I'm always saying is my downloads. It's the lightning bolts that just kind of boom hit you. I always walk around like wildly inspired, having constant epiphanies. And anytime I feel like that is sort of turned off for some reason, then I'm very prone to melancholy. Like, sometimes when I get sick, I notice that happen. I don't get sick very often, but when I do, and it's all of a sudden I'm like, where did my inspiration go? Um, yeah, it's just like a constant companion. And when it's kind of quiet, I'm like, where are you? So yeah, and again, I already mentioned, like this is a big one for me. It is my vocation placement. I'm the 61.1, and that first line is literally called occult knowledge. I am truly meant to serve others through this gift, the gift of Gate 61, and now I actually get to. So it's wildly fulfilling to me to know that the work that I'm doing in the world gets to inspire others, gets to help bring positive mutation, evolution to others' way of thinking through all of this knowledge. Yeah, I think about my own design. I only have that one channel that's totally unconscious, the 3410, the channel of exploration. So it's like the power to love yourself. And then 61 is like doing it through these esoteric means, through this hidden knowledge, these inner mysteries and stuff. And I'm like, yes, I love that so much. Because you think about that, like, oh, here I am an esthetician. No, I'm an auric esthetician now, 20 years later. That I don't work on the physical body per se anymore. It's like, this is your energy body. All of this to me is like ways of feeling so much more beautiful, being more comfortable in yourself on such a super deep level that then it helps radiate out. It's an inner radiance that comes out. You can't get that through a topical product or a laser or an injectable or anything like that. This is something so much more magical and etheric. And that to me is I don't know, that's everything. I love that. But dictionary definitions, I'm super into this right now. So, dictionary definition of occult is to shut off from view or exposure. It's not revealed, hidden from view, not manifest or detectable by clinical methods alone. So it's of or relating to magic, astrology, or any system claiming to use knowledge of a secret or supernatural power or agency. And it's beyond the range of ordinary knowledge or understanding. It's mysterious. I love this gate so much. Astrologically, this would be Capricorn and Taurus, a harmonious Earth trine aspect. Again, such an interesting combination because Earth is like so grounded, and way more practical. And I'm like, no, this is mystical AF. It speaks to my Pisces soul so deeply. And knowing that that's like how I'm supposed to serve people, I was like, yes, I love it. It's also happening in the fourth quarter of the wheel, purpose fulfilled through transformation. That needs no explanation. You're literally being a conduit for the divine's transformation and mutation. Coupled with 24, and that happens in the quarter where it's the initiation of the mind. The first quarter, I see that as transcending the mind. It's a core concept of human design. The mind is the passenger. The 61 in its highest expression teaches us to just relax and enjoy the ride. Enjoy the mystery. You don't know what it's all about. You don't know where you're going, but again, from my own experiences, it's a very beautiful place. It's love. It is the vibration of love, and yeah, like that's all there is. Okay, so do you have this gate in your chart? It's going to be all the way at the top, the very top, tippy top, triangle, the head, right in the center, 61. If it's colored in black, red, or red and black, you have it defined in your chart. If it's white, you do not have it, but look to the other side, look to the 24 down below in the Ajna. Maybe you have that one colored in. If so, you're going to get the full channel for approximately 6 days. And maybe you don't have any of it at all. No worries. You're still going to experience this energy through other people, like myself, right? Listening to my podcast, you're experiencing gate 61. I am serving. She is serving through gate 61. You will experience it with other people in your life. You will experience it through the transits, like right now. Like, what sort of mystical experiences are you going to be having in the next 6 days? Tune into this. There is a reason why we want to learn about all of the gates. They're all relevant to all of us. Okay. Of course, follow me over on Instagram at Michaela McLean if you're not already, because I do share again those tips and little nuggets that I don't put on the podcast per se, of how to utilize this energy in a more tangible way for beauty and well-being over the next 6 days. Really, like I said, just tap into the energy on a more physical, tangible level. And of course, I will be back soon with more. If you want to learn more human design, check out my website, michaelamclean.com, or Instagram. Get you over to the free guide, to all the free charts, the $11 masterclass, all the good things. And again, never not working on stuff behind the scenes. There is more coming, I promise, but big, big things that take time. So patience with me. Thank you so much. Yeah. And if you found this valuable, I would super duper love it if you would leave it a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, because it helps it get out, or just hit 5 stars wherever you're listening. Share it, screenshot, all the things. So appreciative of that. Deeply, deeply appreciative. Because it helps so much. And I always say this is a labor of love for me. I'm sharing all of this knowledge with you. I'm really doing my service in the world, especially after this Gate 61 episode. So yeah, just a way of reciprocating. And that's a beautiful thing. Okay, of course. Until next time, have a beautiful day.